Welcome to the Cyber Espresso Podcast, your quick shot of cybersecurity insights with industry leaders. I welcome today's guest, Hemang, responsible for strategy innovation and architect at Kinderly. Hemang, nice seeing you again.
Murat, great to be with you, but more importantly, great to be with our audience today.
So, Hemang, I just want to start our conversation around edge computing. We know that it's transforming real-time data processing. But in your opinion, will edge computing eventually replace traditional cloud infrastructure, or will they continue to complement each other?
I feel that we will see more of edge, but there is still going to be cloud components as well. And the reason why I'm making that point is that
Hmm.
obviously there are different types of workloads, and
Hmm.
things which require low latency, ultra latency, they will go on edge computing. And there is still going to be things where you need data retention, compliance, and various other things, for longer term usage. They tend to be more on the cloud side or on-prem data centers, right? So there is going to be an existence of all these things combined, but workloads will tend to move towards edge. And actually, as we speak right now, a lot more of edge computing is happening. So the compute has moved a lot more over to edge compared to traditional or cloud data centers. But the
Hmm.
components of data and various other things tend to stay on cloud and on prem. The reason is when you look at edge, it does not have a lot of horsepower per se as you would see
Hmm.
it in cloud or on premise data centers.
Of course. Now that data is being processed closer to the source, what new cybersecurity challenges arise, and how can they can be mitigated?
So of course, as all this compute moves into edge, there are plenty of cyber risks involved because there's always bad actors. And by the way, I just wanted our audience to know that I am Kyndryl's US's TMT market, which stands for Telecom, Media, Entertainment, and High Tech. I'm not necessarily Kyndryl's security spokesperson because we have a lot of more knowledgeable colleagues out there. But what I am seeing from industry perspective is rather unique. Uh, and what happens, Murat, is that as we move into edge, so many of these things are very much dependent on AI and machine learning. So what
Mm.
happens is that, look at autonomous vehicles, for example. They have to process images, lots of data at the edge, and they heavily rely on AI and machine learning. We are also seeing IoT, IIoT devices which sit on edge, and they also require AI and machine learning. Along with that, obviously, you bring data, either is being generated at the edge, i.e., all the images you see, or all the cameras, taking real time streaming, etc. So you are seeing a lot of data being originated at the edge as well. And sometimes, bringing a lot of security is not as easy as we think it is because in traditional data centers or cloud, security is already built in and it also is supported by a lot of compute underneath. At edge is rather difficult. So one has to make sure that they pick appropriate use cases, AI, etc. Now, this would be something I have not talked to anybody, so this is spur of a moment, and maybe everybody's going to figure this thing out rather soon. Other part is that many organizations use AI and machine learning models off the shelf. In other words, they are utilizing AI and machine learning models which are developed by somebody else. So they will, either customize it a little bit or sometimes they will just incorporate directly. Now, the danger with some of that, if there is already security exposure to the model you're already incorporating from somebody else, now you are exposed as well. So one has to be very careful either through inferencing or deployment of AI and machine learning models at the edge. Ensure that security is part of your design.
Is there a way to validate those AI models built by third parties or other companies that they are not like a zero trust architecture, they are free of any glitches?
So zero trust architecture is possible, but remember one thing, right now edge is still pretty emerging. So you are deploying on various devices which may not be already part of your zero trust ecosystem, either from your organization's perspective or from industry's perspective, right? So there are still a lot of areas of concern, both from software perspective, middleware perspective, but then also at a device level perspective as well, because you want to ensure that you are looking through the holistic stack, what you are deploying, and ensure that security standards are met, from your organization's perspective, but also from technology perspective.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for sharing your insight. So I will change the conversation a little bit to talk about future of remote work. So you and I lived during the time of COVID. So everything changed, fully remote. Then the hybrid working models became a new standard. Or will companies eventually return to fully in-person setups? What's your take on that?
So I feel that I tell people that fit for purpose, right? Many of our roles can be done remotely, so there is
Mm,
no need for to bring people to on-site or customer locations. Many of these things can be done remotely, but I often joke about this thing, but it's actually pretty serious. So if we look at Kyndryl, we have 85,000 colleagues across the globe. Many of us work at Kyndryl locations, many of us work at client locations, and many of us also work from home offices. So there's a good combinations, and especially when I'm traveling at times, I'm also working inside an aircraft at 35,000 feet, or backseat of a Uber. So the thing is that I tell people that work happens regardless of your physical location. So 85,000 colleagues spread across the globe. I kind of jokingly said that Kyndryl has 85,000 branch locations. So, and that does not even include the smart devices I use, right? I'm just talking about just my laptop, but then you have smart devices, smart watches, etc., which you also use as part of your work. So now your attack surface has increased significantly from the past, right? So that ensuring that not only you are protecting yourself, but in our case, Kyndryl has 4,000 customers across the globe. So it is our responsibility to ensure not only we are protecting Kyndryl, but more importantly, we are protecting our customers and their customers as well, right? So it is very important to have, and Kyndryl has done a wonderful job of making sure that these things are met on continuous basis.
yeah, it makes sense. So I don't want to ask about how securing remote operations possible. There are ways to do it, but mostly I want to come back to your title. Like, even so, we have a hybrid or remote workforce. So how companies can foster innovation and teamwork in such systems that everybody is, as you said, 80,000 agents around. How we can foster innovation?
That's a great question. So I also tell people that sometimes we have to take a back step from technology. So innovation starts with culture.
Mm,
And what values you bring as an organization is of paramount, right? So making sure that you are attracting and retaining top talent who has innovation mindset. Also, from executive leadership perspective, make sure that you are creating the level of culture which is responsible for driving innovation. Once we get past those things, because I've often seen with customers, and of course previous companies I worked as well, that when you have a strong culture and strong sponsorship of innovation, then it flourishes, right? Because then everybody feels that it is part of their role. Innovation is not just only one person's job or one group's job, it's everybody's job. So once we do that, then various types of technologies can be used, right? Microsoft, Google, etc. Everybody has collaboration tool sets. But then also there are elements of things, methodologies, which I call it. For example, design thinking. Bring in, and by the way, every project or every task does not have to be design thinking, but one of the principles of design thinking is empathy and understanding the personas, right? So once we allow all of our teammates to understand the empathy and why are we solving a problem and for who, then innovation takes care of itself, because now you're not thinking just from your company's perspective or from technology's perspective. You're really thinking about more from user perspective, and then it really fuels innovation that way. And then every technology has whiteboarding capability, other things, or in some cases, bring teams into a central location for a day or two and work through some of the sessions, which is equally important as well, by the way. Sometimes, bringing people in one place. So be it, right? But I always believe that bring that, end user mindset into solving problems, and then we take care of those things.
Oh, I appreciate, Hemang, for this insightful conversation. I really appreciate your availability and being part of our podcast. I look forward to talking to you on other occasions.
Yes, I welcome that opportunity for the future, but thank you for allowing me to speak to you and your audience. I really appreciate that as well.
Thanks, Hemang. Have a nice day. Ciao.
Okay, you too. Thank you.